morning to everyone, and I wish to welcome you all to the SACU Secretariat for this very important milestone for NamRA. We are very proud of Namibia at this stage. We come a long way. It has been a very long journey, and I'm really glad that we are where we are right now. And I wish to welcome the Head of Customs, Mr. Tate Boniso, and his team, management team, as well as everyone that is here in this room. I would like to say to him, thank you so much, sir, for availing your resources, but also being willing for us to go through this journey with you and your team. It means a lot for the region because we are now elevating and we are seeing NamRA elevating itself, to join the SACU region on this journey and really the global community as you try to now offer businesses, the best service in terms of the Authorized Economic Operator Program. So for today, we are hoping that as an outcome of this session, we will share insights as customs colleagues on this program, and feel free to raise your inputs, your comments, so that whatever comes out, takes into account all your either comments also, but also inquiries that you may have around this program. And indeed, NamRA has a very able team that is put together to support this program. And for that, we are grateful. It is a long journey, but we are here as SACU to walk this journey with the Namibia Revenue Agency. And for that, I thank you very much.
NamRA was launched on the 7th of April, and it prides me to appreciate the financial and technical assistance that we receive towards the implementation of custom modernization reforms from SACU, Secretariat, and other stakeholders to date. I have learned from the director here that we have responded very positively as the department, which is very much encouraging to note. I further appreciate the SACU's Secretariat's consideration to embark upon the exercise to assist member states to promote the visibility and the use of AEO programs by sectors engaged in cross-border trade. Well, in NamRA, we normally say you cannot talk of something that you do not know. You need to understand what is it that you are talking about. Madam Director, I'm inclined to go a little bit deeper to say, for us to understand the concept of EO, what does it mean? It means the authorized economic operators. What does the concept means? It is based on the customs to business partnership that was introduced by the WCO sometimes in 2005. So what does it imply? It implies that the relationship between customs and the operator should always be based on the principle of mutual transparency, correctness, fairness, and the responsibilities. Well, what does the program is aimed at enhancing customs efficiency in the face of increasing volumes of trade and the increasing vulnerability of international trade supply chain to security threats. Well, the program is nothing other than trade facilitation, compliance, and the security in the supply chain. What does it tell us? It tells us that we shift our focus as customs administration from the goods and direct our focus on the traders. Do we all understand that one? How do we operate currently now? We are so much focused in respect of the goods that a person comes in. Now, the programs incline that we should focus from the goods to the traders, whereas the compliant traders are given the status, which means they are low risk companies and they can therefore be trusted by us whenever they had to bring in their goods across the borders. After we have done the necessary assessments, because these are ingredients that comes for you to be able to have that status, then we focus on your trade, on you as a person, not on the goods, for you to be able to enjoy the benefit. Now, it's designed to facilitate and enhance the experience of the compliant trader when undergoing custom clearance process. Like I have said, the trader should be able to enjoy when exercising our services, and the process becomes so seamless to the trader. Whereas customs handle the consignments of such companies with less controls and compares to others. Those who are not participating, we handle them, we segment them. Those who are not participating, yes, we'll be able to subject to them to the much needed enforcement. This is also an instrument for growing compliance. This program will help Namibia, NamRA, improve efficiency and effectiveness in securing the international trade supply chain while at the same time facilitating trade. We know for sure one of our core values is efficiency. So this can be able to assist us. The national awareness session came at the right time for us to engage ourselves as customs, other government agencies, and the private sector on the AEO compliance program, its benefits and areas of improvement. The program is open to all supply chain actors, such as exporters, importers, freight forwarders, clearing agents, manufacturers, and ports authorities. We therefore I'm grateful that the SACU EO champion would deliver a presentation on the SACU regional EO program that entails compliance, safety, security, and the benefits for traders. In conclusion, Director of these proceedings, Madam Director, the key objective of today's session is for custom officials to understand the role we are playing in the implementation of the EO program. Hence, I urge us all to participate fully and ensure that we will utilize the knowledge gained from this awareness session as we continue to facilitate legitimate trade across our borders. And I thank you.
We have more than 80 operational AEO programs or even trusted trader programs. We used to call our AEO compliance program preferred trader program, but it has now been renamed to Authorized Economic Operator Compliance Program. It is a compliance program because we are not yet implementing the security aspects of the program, the safety and security. So we are still on the lower level of the AEO program that is, known internationally. And then, of course, within an AEO program, we have what we call a mutual recognition arrangements. So mutual recognition arrangements are meant to, to facilitate recognition or acknowledgement of traders when they trade in different jurisdictions. So I'll give an example of the south of the SACU region. We have 5 countries: Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa. And all of these 5 countries, they will have a mutual recognition arrangement. They agree that when traders are accredited in one country, they will be recognized. When they move to the next, they will be afforded benefits, and they will also be expedited. Their movement, cross-border movement, will be expedited, so they won't be subjected to a number of other procedures which will be outlined later. And then there are more than 60 mutual recognition arrangements in the world. So countries that enter into these agreements. And then, of course, in terms of the concept of AEO, really, it's all about ensuring that companies are trusted and recognized by customs, as the commissioner has already mentioned. And that we also, from our end, we would like to extend this preferential treatment of businesses to the other government agencies. There's an element where customs can do a lot of work on the ground, but the trader needs to feel the impact, as they move goods. So that's where we need to have, the entire value chain, to include the other government agencies in this program. So far, it has been customs, at least in the SACU region, that is working on this program. But in the future, near future, we want to make sure that we extend it to the other government agencies. Now, what is the criteria for one to qualify, or for business to qualify? They have to be compliant with the laws. So they must make sure that they don't have records of previous serious criminal offenses, and they should keep their records in line with the requirements for customs. They must be solvent. They have to be competent in terms of knowing about customs laws, and also the issues around security and safety. They need to have, for those that are, depending on the type of goods or products they move, they will need to qualify under safety and security. There's a list of items there, which I'm sure we'll go into later on. And then in terms of benefits, really the key benefits would be speed. AEO companies, gets their goods cleared faster, predictability, they will know what to expect when they get to the border posts or when they start their journey, and then the lower costs. Here really, while speed and predictability reduces the cost, the additional cost reduction can be achieved with better compliance, and then they will avoid penalties and additional duties. And of course, the prioritized treatment that we spoke to earlier. And of course, the issue of mutual recognition is a great benefit for traders if they know that they have to move goods and be accorded all these benefits when they cross the border to the other side. And of course, here we just wanted to share with you a journey that we traversed in the region in terms of this AEO program. Starting in 2015, we didn't want to go way far. So we started to launch this program as a preferred trader program by developing the frameworks and then making sure that we have all the requirements. And we did a needs analysis or gap analysis to determine where we are lacking as a region. And of course, in 2017, we piloted and then launched in South Africa in 2017. And 2018, we also then did fully implement the program after the pilot in South Africa. Meanwhile, we also continued with the pilot for Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, and Namibia. And 2019, we proceeded with the pilot in some member states. And 2020, that's where we really now started implementing the PTP, the Preferred Trader Program, in Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, and South Africa. And then Namibia continued with the piloting in 2020. And then 2021, we commenced with the assignment to now draft the SACU Regional AEO Program that includes compliance, safety, and security. And then in 2021, again, the SACU Preferred Trader Program was now renamed an AEO compliance program. And all member states were at that point fully implementing this PTP program, Preferred Trader Program. And we also in 2022 completed the draft SACU Regional AEO Program. In fact, this program was then presented to the Council of Ministers in June last year, and it was approved. So we have an approved SACU Regional AEO Program, which now is more comprehensive. It includes compliance, safety, and security. And then in 2022, we continued with the work to draft the regional benefits, around this new program. Now, we also had a process where we started drafting the mutual recognition arrangement for the SACU region. We'll just update that here. And I can safely say that as we sit now in 2023, we have a mutual recognition arrangement that we are yet to, of course, present to the heads of customs, but we are done with it at a technical level. We will be presenting this for consideration by the heads of customs. And once we have a mutual recognition arrangement, we are going to be able to fully discharge and implement this regional AEO program. Now, where we are in 2023 as we sit, we have a total of 174 accredited traders under the AEO compliance program. You will remember that I indicated that it used to be called a preferred trader program, but now is called, an AEO compliance program. But it's one and the same thing. It's just the change in the name. We've changed the name so that we can, align to the international standards, but also the naming convention that they use, so that in future, should we need to now enter into a mutual recognition with the EU, for example, our traders can be accorded the same, status in other regions of the world. And we will be using a common nomenclature that is used globally. And of course, some of the salient features of the AEO compliance program include, we have qualifying criteria. The first one would be your appropriate record for compliance, satisfactory system for managing your commercial records, sufficient customs knowledge, and then you need to also have a good financial solvency where possible. So you can see it's really, these are bare minimum, criteria. And of course, the benefits that are generic would be your simplification of customs processes under trade facilitation, and of course, predictability, and then the ease of compliance, which lowers the costs, as I've indicated earlier. And of course, a structured dialogue, which is, it simply means that you get access to customs officials with ease, unlike when you are not accredited. And of course, in terms of the numbers of where we are currently as a region, we have Botswana, who accredited 3 traders so far. We have Eswatini that accredited 2 traders so far. And then we have Lesotho, who accredited 10 traders to date. Then we have Namibia that accredited 1 trader. And then we have South Africa that accredited 158 traders. So this is where we are at currently. As customs, we are going to be working very hard to make sure that we up the numbers, and making sure that we assist one another. As the Secretariat and member states, we need to hold hands and be able to support one another where the need arises, so that the uptake is much better than what we are seeing currently. And of course, South Africa, because it's they have a larger pool to draw from in terms of traders, and of course they are closer to a lot of markets and what have you. They manage to capture the traders in terms of the benefits. Traders are seeing a lot more benefit of the AEO program. So we will be able to achieve this even in Namibia. I can assure you, even with South Africa, we had to do quite a lot of work as the Secretariat. So NamRA is not, it's no difference. It's just the timing. South Africa, we did this with South Africa. The timing, it was way back, and we are here now with NamRA. So don't be, don't feel bad when you see the numbers. We are on the right track. Yeah, from here it can only go up. And we want to encourage all of you to hit the call and support Teponiso, support Victoria Weyulu, support Francina and the team. All of you, pull together and make sure that you place Namibia somewhere in terms of the uptake.
NamRA and where we are going, we want to be a world-class revenue agency, serving with passion to positively impact the livelihood of every Namibian. Now, for us to become a world-class revenue agency, we need to work with the best of the best, like your WCO, because they are responsible for customs international standard and expertise in customs administration, SACU, and all our other stakeholders. We need to work with them in adopting custom modernization programs. That's why we remember last year, July, we were here with the Secretary General of WCO launching the Advanced Mooring Program, and it's working very well. We will just want those who have not yet started participating in that program to start participating and get the benefits. And of course, serving with passion. We have to serve with passion because I was telling someone that when I looked into the Namibian Revenue Act, it's only one of those institutions that by law we are required to improve service delivery. And even if we are not giving you the service that you deserve, in actual fact, any client, we do not now want to refer to our client as taxpayer or trader. We want to refer to you as our client, our customs. Now, any client who is not satisfied with our service, you can even sue us and take us to court. And you will win the case because by law, it's by law that we are required to provide improved service delivery. Then, of course, our work must be in a position to positively impact the livelihood of every Namibian, because if your business is not doing very well, it will not grow. But if your business does very well, if your business grow, that will contribute to the economic growth of this country, and that will capacitate our government, the state, to be in a position to address the serious challenges that we are facing as a country, challenges of poverty, youth unemployment, income inequality, can only be addressed if all of us hold hands, move into the same direction in addressing the challenges that we are facing as a country. So where we are going, we are really going towards wanting to become a world-class revenue agency, because we are mandated to provide custom and excise services that facilitate legitimate trade. I do not want to talk about other function of revenue collection, because when people hear about tax authority or tax administration, they only think about the revenue collection. That is not only what we are responsible for. We are responsible for facilitating a legitimate trade and protecting society and improve service delivery. This program is based on the principle of partnership and trust between customs and private sector. This program is for you. We have the responsibility to work together to identify secure businesses that would have to get some benefit. We have to offer some benefit, and therefore we would want to encourage businesses, private sector, to really have a deep understanding of this program. And I'm happy that the private sector is well represented. I'm very happy that SACU have made this possible, because you can have a product, but if there is no one who is ready to take this product, you would not be able to offer this product so that someone can get that benefit. But I tell you what, I would want to encourage all the business, especially those that qualify, those who are here and those who are following online, to do whatever it's necessary to join the authorized economic operator. Why? When you get accredited with this program, you get what is called VIP treatment. Just imagine when you have a situation whereby all your VAT refund are expedited. Just imagine a situation when you need to get a bond, and that bond you can get it at a reduced cost. Imagine a situation whereby while other trucks are being searched and stopped, subjected to security screening there, you are given a red carpet. Imagine a situation whereby you will have a relationship manager. So when you want to come to NamRA office, you do not come and queue or go to dedicated service center, but there is a dedicated client relationship manager, just like we do get and experience this in commercial bank, and you get this service. We would want all the border agencies, all the government, OMAS, all those that work at the borders, for us, all of us, to work together with the private sector, hold hand, because that which we would want to achieve, to provide, to bring about improved service delivery, efficiency, reduced cost, streamlined custom clearance procedure, cannot be achieved only if it's only one entity that is focused on the implementation of the program. Because when you get at the border, you have Namibia Agronomic Board, Meat Board, Ministry of Agriculture, Home Affairs. So all of us, we need to come together with our private sector, we hold hand, and we move in the same direction.
The idea that we are here to engage on the Accredited Economic Operator Program, really, it's important to even state right from the word go that it's a fundamental element of the SACU strategy, 5-year strategy, which was approved by the Council of Ministers in June 2022. That strategy emphasizes at its very core the importance of pursuing industrialization for the SACU region. And as you can understand, industrialization not as an end in itself, but industrialization towards the economic development of our region. The entire SACU Customs Union, the whole region, seeks to industrialize, seeks to develop for the benefit of the citizens in our country, to improve the outcomes, life outcomes, to make life better for our citizens. And the vehicle that this shall be achieved, among others, is through a very critical pillar in that strategy of trade facilitation and logistics, within which this AEO program falls squarely. Of course, there are other elements in the strategy. There's an element of also pursuing private sort of export-led growth. So the idea of export promotion, and related to that, the idea of investment promotion, so that we also can, another pillar, mobilize resources in order to finance the development and the industrialization desired outcome at the end of the 5-year period. We also seek to build SACU institutions, while we also engage very meaningfully in, to enable the SACU member states to speak in one voice in international fora, whether it be us as SACU negotiating trade agreements with the rest of the world, key among which is yet another pillar, trying to leverage the AFCFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area opportunity. You will all know, ladies and gentlemen, that African countries are seeking through that arrangement to increase and enhance intra-Africa trade. You will know that Africa is known for very low levels of intra-trade between the member states of Africa. In fact, we trade more with the rest of the world than we trade with ourselves. And you don't find the same thing when you go into, say, South America, where you find levels of continental trade there are very high, above 50%, but we are sitting in the teens in terms of percentages. We know that a lot of the time our cargo has to go via Europe in order to end up in another part of Africa. It's the same thing with us even moving in terms of passenger traffic in the region, where you sometimes have to fly to Charles de Gaulle in France in order to get to another part of Africa, yet you still come from Africa. This situation, the African governments have committed to dealing with it through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, through which, as we speak, SACU countries have already presented a tariff offer to try to basically pledge the rate at which we shall reduce our tariffs for other African countries to trade with us, for them to come sell their goods in our region, for us to then go sell our goods in the region. That is essentially the strategic outcome that we seek to achieve, as defined and as approved by the member states represented by the Council of Ministers of SACU. I'm emphasizing this because I want to situate the function or the subject of today within that strategy. It is not just us doing an AEO for its own sake. The analogy I think about is that of the Africa sort of continental football tournament, the Africa Cup of Nations. I believe as African businesses, as African countries, we are going for an Africa Cup of Nations of business, where we're going to compete. And one country, one region will come up with a trophy when all is said and done. And as you will know, using the same analogy from sports, we need to make sure that we organize ourselves. We need to make sure that we are fit and proper to go and compete on that continental platform. And for that to happen, it means SACU countries have to first and foremost make sure that our businesses within the region, when they go toe to toe with other businesses from East Africa, from West Africa, from Central Africa, from North Africa, they have a leg up in that competition. And that leg up is because we are saying, let us look at their value chains. Let us look at their supply chains and analyze it and realize that in that value chain, there are many nodes, contact points, and business people, this is what they deal with every day. If you are into import and export, if you are into manufacturing, you will be importing inputs from another member state, whether it be from within SACU or outside SACU. Ideally, we encourage it be within SACU so that we enhance intra-SACU trade. Again, going back to the idea of us making sure that we are fit to go and compete on that continental platform. So the idea is you will be buying your inputs from another member state within SACU, and you will be, through logistics processes within the region, moving your inputs, your raw materials from wherever they are to wherever it is that you shall be undertaking production. And through that chain, after you produce, you are able then to package, you are able to distribute to the consumer. That process is what these businesses in here have to deal with every day, with one question in mind, one objective in mind. How do they optimize it? Because it is through that optimization that you are able to lend at the on the market with a very competitive product, either in terms of the quality of the product and the price of the product. And if we are to compete in East African market and we want our businesses to go and sell and trade there, we have to make sure that we look at that value chain, and the moment you do that, you realize immediately that customs becomes a key node in that value chain. They will tell you that. They will tell you that. If you spend even an extra hour at a border post, for business, that's money. Because for them, time is money. I took a tour just 2 weeks ago. I was telling Mr. Cameron to Namibia Mills, where I was taken with my team at the Secretariat through their process, their production process. And when that happens, you start understanding some of the constraints they have to deal with. One of the things that became very evident is the fact that they have a lot of capacity, that it remains underutilized. Almost 50% of the capacity remains underutilized. And the idea is if we are to compete in that AFCFTA arrangement for the African market, Namibia Mills has to be enabled through customs really not becoming a constraint, but rather becoming a facilitator of this business for it to then lend in East Africa, West Africa, North Africa very competitively. And I'm very glad, and you should count yourself very lucky, and I'm talking here to Business Namibia, and indeed, Madam Minister, to have a Commissioner General with an appreciation of the role of a revenue agency. The traditional thinking has for a long time been that revenue agencies are about revenue collection, and indeed they then tend into becoming more police-like in their strategies. Therefore, the moment you see yourself as a police, what about the taxpayer? They essentially become robbers, isn't it? Then it becomes a cat and mouse sort of situation where the mouse will always be trying to hide as much as possible from the cat, and the cat will always be trying as much as possible to find the mice. It's not productive, it's not beneficial to anybody. And here you have a NamRA, a Commissioner General with his team that appreciates that, in fact, raising revenue and providing a good quality of service are not, as we have often thought, substitutes. They are actually complements. They work together. You can achieve both. In fact, if you have the other, you can have more of the other because they are complements. It's like tea and sugar. Without tea, without sugar, most of you won't even have the tea. Isn't it? Without the tea, I hope you won't have the sugar. Because they are complements, they go together. The more of the one you have, the more of the other you have, right? It's not sugar and coffee situation where if you have coffee, then you're going to have tea. We have tended to treat them in the past as if they were substitutes, tea and coffee. Compliance had to happen at the expense of service. You had to be scrutinized at the border for hours on end. You had to fill many forms in order to be compliant. And you had to incur a lot of cost to be compliant. But now you have a NamRA administration that is saying no. For us, the two will be achieved together. We will actually be more taxpayer-centric and support you because we believe as we support you, you become successful, we become successful in our role of raising revenue. And then Namibia as a country succeeds. This program goes directly to that core. The Accredited Economic Operator Program. It goes directly to that very objective of leveraging on the two and basically making sure that there are synergies between service provision and also at the same time compliance. There is also an element of safety and security of our supply chains to make sure that we can, as businesses in the region, accredit that when our products land even in the global markets where they are very picky about what your supply chain has been, those goods land with accreditation and assurance that during production we were able to monitor what happened, and we can therefore assure that what is in that container as it lands in the US, in the EU, that container contains exactly what it says it contains. That is a key element of this program. It is the second phase. In this region right now, we have 174 accredited operators. Indeed, as the Commissioner General Sam has indicated, we have only one in Namibia. And as it turns out, that's the lowest number. But I'm not worried given what I'm seeing in the room today. I'm sure sooner or later Namibia will be in the 50s or more. You have Botswana with 3. Eswatini has, in fact, Botswana has 2, Eswatini has 3, and then you have 10 in Lesotho and 158 in South Africa. Most of them, by sheer size of the economy in South Africa, are in South Africa. But I believe an economy such as Namibia really should be punching way higher. And again, the idea is this is because the AEO program is beneficial to business. It's a VIP treatment that he's talking about. It's like you going to your bank and being waved through to get a much better, faster service, more predictable in the VIP lounge. Essentially, what has been lacking, as the CG is saying, is the fact that we have not been talking to you about it as much as we should. We have not been marketing it, and here is an opportunity for us to start saying we basically invite the business community within Namibia to take advantage of this program. It is meant to ensure that we collectively as SACU become competitive. As SACU, our role is coordinators through the Secretariat. It is to build a region-wide AEO program by linking the various, individual programs in the member states. Because they are there now, as I've indicated. What we are now moving into going forward, based on a council decision in June last year, is to now start linking these programs into a single program, so that we will end up with a region-wide program with mutual recognition agreements signed between the various member states, so that you can know as a business that once accredited by NamRA, I am automatically accredited in Eswatini. I'm automatically accredited in Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho. When you get there, once you have made your declaration this side, you get the same VIP treatment on the other side. So you see, this then becomes a tool towards enabling the building of regional value chains. Because once we then remove all the obstacles for intra-SACU trade, we then enable the SACU team to go to that tournament in Africa, the AFCFTA, and become competitive and come back with the trophy. Because if we can remove all these obstacles, we reduce your cost of operations, we make sure that you become competitive in terms of the price that you will offer, you become also competitive in terms of the quality. Because a lot of the time, quality is compromised by some of these interruptions that happen in your value chains, particularly the one at customs. So that is the next phase that we are looking at, ensuring that we build a region-wide sort of framework that will allow a mutual recognition across the region.
This National Authorized Economic Operator Awareness Session, which is under the theme, the Authorized Economic Operator Programme as the future of doing business in Namibia. Doing business in Namibia is a component and a configuration of all of us. And when I say all of us, it's operators both from the private and the public sector. So we should join hands and continue to work to each other so that we implement the mandate of ensuring the leveled landscape of business environment. When we look at the international arena, the increased global trade and the dynamics in the international supply chain have created new demands on the role of customs administrators as well as government agencies. We all want to focus on trade facilitation and make it easy for every operator to do business in a very conducive environment. In that environment, the business community must endeavor to move goods faster and a reduced cost, and they must maintain their competitiveness. And that is what we need all to agree on so that we make trade facilitation easier and simpler and faster. As we look forward, customs administrators and also government agencies, we must be expected by all our servants that we improve in terms of processing in our cargo. We must improve in terms of time delivery and specifically timelines that we must. Our service must be reliable, and we must have physical intervention that will bring in efficiency and speed. But as we're doing that, we must not compromise on the safety and security of revenue collection. As administrators also in the government agencies, we must foster the collaborative effect so that we have a partnership that is strong and is mutual, that benefits all of us and our stakeholders. It is pleasing to note that SACU has adopted and prioritized the implementation of the Authorized Economic Operator Programme. And we are happy that you are part of this very important initiative. We want you to strengthen compliance, and that should be your role. And also, you must ensure that safety and security is observed at all times. And you must ensure that our supply chains are extended to the horizons of beyond the borders of this continent. And we also want you to address inefficiencies amongst customs and other government agencies. And when I say government agencies, I include the ministries, including ourselves. As we are gathered again this morning, I want us to focus on the Voluntary Accreditation Programme, which is designed by the World Customs Organization as a global standard used by custom administrations. We also want you, as the private sector, to strengthen your compliance, your safety, and security of supply chain, while also building mutual trust and partnership between government and the business and the private sector, which should be our key role, and I repeat again. All these are based on the WCO SAFE framework of standard that enables integrated and harmonized supply chain management for all modes of transport. Globally, there are more than 80 programs that are operational and more are developed annually, and we should continue to develop more so that we expand on the horizons. The IEO status can be awarded to manufacturers, importers, exporters, brokers, carriers, consolidators, intermediaries, ports, airports, terminal operators, integrated operators, warehouses distribution, flight forwarders, and many other stakeholders. And countries can enter into mutual recognition agreements to confer the IEO status to qualifying businesses that are trading in their territories to ease entry into each other's market. Ladies and gentlemen, in SACU, the IEO is a flagship program for the Custom Modernization Program under the SACU Trade Facilitation and Logistics Program. The IEO program for SACU region is envisaged to support industrialization and the trade agenda, just like it was alluded earlier on by the SACU Executive Secretary. And this should enable us as a region to achieve the expected results. And those results are as follows. We must achieve improved administrative efficiencies through digitization, because that's where we are heading, as well as the automation of data exchange. Again, we must come up with a reduction of time and cost associated with cross-border trade. And again, we should improve the compliance and security of the supply chain. We must have an enhanced competitiveness of the SACU member states as we move forward as one configuration, especially as we participate in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The SACU region is therefore implementing the IEO program in phases. The initial phase was focused on developing the tools and frameworks required for voluntary compliance program. To date, all SACU member states have established and implemented their respective IEO's compliance programs using the minimum standards and criteria developed at regional level. Drawing on lessons learned under the member states, the IEO compliance programs, the region further developed a three-tiered regional IEO program that include all pillars. And those pillars are such as compliance, safety, and security. This three-tier regional program was approved by the Council of Ministers already in June 2022. And the 2023-2024 financial year will witness the promotion of the IEO compliance program and to work on the required operational tools to fully implement all pillars of the SACU regional IEO program. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude, I want to emphasize that it is critical and very important for us to note that SACU region have embarked on this vital exercise to promote the visibility and use of IEO program by business and the public sector. We also want to encourage all of you to actively participate in this great initiative. The hosting of an engagement session with various stakeholders from customs and other government agencies, as well as the private sector, such as this one that we are attending this morning, is ensuring that we are all moving in the same direction. Like our president would always say, let's pull in one direction. And no one of us should feel left out. I therefore call on you, as you are going to make presentations, that you do it in compliance with the program as it's set, and its benefits and its areas of improvement, as well as the SACU regional IEO program that entails the compliance, safety, security, and benefits for all traders. Ladies and gentlemen, us from the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade take pride in being part of this great initiative and are looking forward to play our significant role on the implementation of the AEO program. And we commit to work alongside you in ensuring that trade facilitation is made easier and faster, and it's benefiting all our traders from the various corners of the country and beyond the borders of this country. Allow me, therefore, once again to thank, first and foremost, NamRA for the great initiative and for inviting us to be stakeholders on this engagement. And again, allow me to thank the SACU Secretariat for being part of this great initiative.
So here is just on what is the program, which it was already really by, as I indicated, our principles really highlighted where this program is why this program is important for Namibia. AEO is a compliance voluntary program where we encourage our traders to really participate, and it is important to support the industrialization and trade agenda within Namibia and also within the region. The next slide, I just want to get to the main point. The 3 tiers that we had the minister talking about, this is the approach that we are taking to say we want to include the SMEs in our program. They are the key drivers to our economy, and so we also, as NamRA, wants to ensure that we support and we also help them to become compliant and also become competitive. So the second tier there is the AEO compliance program, in which we say we reward you for being compliant, and we also assist you to become compliant. And we partner in this journey to make Namibia the ideal place to do business. The ultimate goal is for us to have a safety and security program, which is an international high-level standard, and that has also then, we enter into mutual recognition with other trading partners. We had our ES here talking about the Africa Continental Free Trade. How do we take opportunities such as that as a country and as business? So NamRA is really here to make sure that we assist our traders to be at that level where we have to be internationally. So this is the approach, is just to highlight the requirements that are needed. And under the compliance program is actually where we say you need to have appropriate record of compliance, you need to have your computers, your logistics, your accounting, need to be able to say we account, how do we account to NamRA? We also say that we should also have sufficient knowledge in customs matters and also evidence of sufficient financial resources. So under the level 1 program, we also have an NamRA within the SACU that we are about to really finalize at this stage, where we are saying our trader in Namibia will get reciprocal benefits across the region. So level 2 here is then the safety and security that then requires high standard of compliance and safety and security, where we only look into, as an example, your physical security, your personal security. I think one of the earlier, I think it's ES who says we should ensure that when goods leave Namibia for international markets, those goods are secured. So our exports really become also very, very critical for us to make sure that the standards and the security of our goods are also secured. The next slide. Who is eligible to participate? Our Honorable Minister already highlighted this, and the importers and exporters are eligible for participating in the program, our clearing agents, manufacturers, warehouses. So as an approach that we took as a country, we're saying we are first testing this program with importers and exporters, but we are expanding this program to ensure that every player in the supply chain get to participate in the program and also get benefit. So there is an accreditation process that takes place. How do you participate? As our client, you have to express interest by applying on an application form. There's also a self-evaluation form. That form actually already assists you to self-evaluate and where you need assistance, because the program is there to also help our traders or our clients to become compliant. Where we are partnering to say, these are the areas or gaps that we have identified, and you can correct them, and we assist you to correct them. And there's an on-site verification where our auditors then would come and do a validation, just to validate what are the systems and the processes that you already have in place. In this area, we acknowledge that there are some clients that are compliant, and we just need to enhance these processes that they already have in place. After that, there is an authorization and certification, which we can attest when we saw how Namib Mills was certified last year, and then there's a monitoring and evaluation. So really, this is just the process of application into the Authorized Economic Programme. Now, here are the benefits that Namibia is able to offer to our traders, and the return on investment is really high. For example, one of the benefits is that you'll be able to get a client relationship manager, and the benefits really, the commissioner already even highlighted them for you. So for me, I'm just going to walk through this presentation really. My work was already done easier. So you will be accorded the provision of a client relationship manager, reduced insecurity amount, and reduced an inspection. So already this indicates that when you have reduction in security, there's a flow or there's a reduction or cost that you have saved. Instead of the amount that you were supposed to lodge with customs, it has been reduced because you are an accredited trader. And there's also expedited clearance processes. That's also a benefit where you can get a pre-clearance. So already that saves your time, your cost. The time that you spend at the border, already that is a reduction, and that is an awesome benefit. Priority in inspection, so you can see reduced inspection and priority in inspection also in non-intrusive tools such as our scanners. It's already contributing to your time that you have to spend at the border is really reduced. Expedited VAT refund. There we're saying we expedite when you have a VAT refund, you get your VAT refund quicker. So that in entails actually produces where we have enough cash flow running back into the company. Inspection of goods at client premises, that is also a privilege and a benefit that we are offered to say, instead of your goods being being inspected at the border, we then postpone the inspection to be done at the client premises. That's a very good benefit as well. And the usage of an ID where you say, as a AEO accredited, you get a unique identifier where you have that, only you have that unique identifier, and it's easy for our officials to really identify and also facilitate that. Mutual recognition, that is also a benefit. We keep making reference to it. But imagine if we have a program that other countries do not appreciate and do not recognize. It will not help us. And for us to penetrate the market out there, we need to have mutual recognition, where that is an enabler for our trading community to penetrate the market and also being accorded reciprocal benefits. As an AEO accredited, you also get coordinated intervention with other government agencies. So yesterday we had an engagement with other government agency where we are saying that when we have inspections, we are going to do joint inspections at the border and save that time and also the energy of doing business, really.
What does the Authorized Economic Operator Programme mean for Namibia? And if I can prompt you, could you share a bit more light as to how we're doing in this program, but maybe some thoughts on how we intend to do better?
Thank you very much, Stacey. This program means a lot of great things for Namibia. First, it's a kind of a demonstration that as a country, we are very seriously committed to adopt best international practice that would be in a position to benefit our businesses and also eventually benefit the Namibian people. Because with the implementation of this program, that will then mean, like we have heard it, a reduced cost, because like ES Tabo Azipe have indicated that when you spend a lot of time at the border, time costs money. Now, participants of this program, their time at the border will definitely be reduced because their goods or their consignment or their truck, the clearance will be expedited. The fact that one would be in a position to get your VAT refund quicker, that's good cash flow for one's business. And the fact that it also gives us an opportunity as a custom administration to provide improved service delivery, because if you are committed to offer a product or to improve service delivery, you can only improve that service delivery to someone. And now this is not a program only by one entity, but it's a program that requires a lot of different stakeholders. Now how are we doing with this program? Like we have indicated, NamRA is only 23 months. We launched the 7th of April 2021, and a year after we launched this program last year on the 7th of April 2022, and when we launched that program as well, one entity was then accredited, that's Namibia Mills. But I have also indicated during my welcoming remarks that we could do better. I always tell people that the moment you think you know it all or you have done better, just know that the end is near. And I'm very happy that SACU Secretariat have come on board to support us, to capacitate us, to give us support like this one. We are not doing this on our own, but we are on the great shoulder of SACU. And with that, we need more stakeholder engagement. We need to make our private sector understand the benefits, the process that is required to join. Because currently now, if one have heard from the ES of SACU's presentation, Namibia is one of the countries that is not, that can do better in terms of the uptake of this program. But also all the other SACU member states as well, their revenue administration or custom administration has been there for a longer time than Namibia Revenue Agency. So we are not concerned. So what we are going to do better, we are going to do more of this session. We are going to meaningfully engage. We are going to partner with private sector and those who would want to join into this program. We're going to hold their hand, make things easy for them to understand and to know that they can only benefit. There is only benefit, there is nothing to lose. But at the end of the day, because we truly want our business to succeed, because we do know that if our private sector, if our Namibian business succeed, we have got no doubt that at the end of the day, it's Namibia that will win. And therefore, there's a lot of work to be done, but we are very positive that next year when we come back here, those numbers will definitely be, there will be a better uptake. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. That's very encouraging to hear. And one of the things I think was a major takeaway from Ms. Francina's presentation, as well as your own, not only today, but that is the tone with which you lead NamRA, is that we don't expect the private sector to do things by themselves. I think one of the things Ms. Francina spoke about is that there is willingness by NamRA to assist, to walk the private sector through the journey, because admittedly, this is a new program. Not everyone will know off the bat what to do and how to do it. So I must commend NamRA that you are availing yourselves to assist and walk the private sector through it. It's not something we're throwing at you and say, figure it out, but I think it's great that NamRA is able to support and to partner with the private sector. Commissioner, just in slight closing before I move on to the next person, you spoke very well about the fact that what we're doing better is private private sector engagement and awareness. I spoke with you earlier and you kept repeating that people cannot benefit from something they don't know. And in that lies the heart of why we have to engage and make sure that private sector is aware. Are we potentially looking at an AOE champion? I know you called Cameron out earlier and said he's benefited, but he's kept the benefits all to himself. But maybe it will be good for a beneficiary of the AEO to champion some of this work. So keen to hear your thoughts on that as we slightly wrap up on your views on the panel today.
No, thank you, Stacey. Just for us to demonstrate how serious are we with a modernization program like this one, we have officials within NamRA who will only be dedicated to this program. We're also committed and ready to employ more client relationship manager to make sure that those clients and those who will be getting into this program will get more attention, VIP treatment, really dedicated service. But I must also indicate that when I say Cameron kept quiet, it was kind of like it's a joke.
Absolutely.
Because that's why he's here today.
Yes.
He have always been open to talk about how they are benefiting, how Namibia Mills is benefiting. But just maybe to encourage the private sector as well to say that we are really serious about stakeholder engagement. And also, do not wait for another awareness session for one to come. If you can call our office, you can please get the number and the contact details of Francina as well. You can invite us to your business. We have been to many other businesses in Erongo, I think in the south as well. You can say, look, please come and explain and hold our hands so that we can understand this process, and we will come. And it's not only necessarily on the AOE program. This can be on integrated tax administration system, it can be on a clearing agent's procedure, or anything that you would want to know from NamRA. Please do reach out to us and we will even come to you. And the good news, and this is what I've been telling the Namibian public before, is that all our services are for free. And even when you call us to your business in Erongo, in the north, in the south, we do not even expect you to give us water or lunch. We take care of that by ourselves. Because we are here to serve you with passion. But Stacey, just in conclusion as well, the reason why we are very passionate and very committed to ensure that this project or this program is very successful is that we also believe that it's going to not only improve the business environment in our country or business climate in our country, but it will also improve our competitiveness as a country on the global competitiveness index as well. And that may also see us getting more foreign direct investment as well. And the more of that we get, and I'm very happy that the Bank of Namibia and NSA just reported last year that the economy grew up to 4.6% last year. And I think for all Namibians, please do note that we are committed to work with all other border agencies, to work with all OMAs, so that and to work with all the stakeholders, including the private sector. We want to serve you with passion for the best interest of your businesses for Namibia, because when you win, Namibia win. And I want us to be optimistic and to be enthusiastic about the future, very well knowing that the better days are around the corner. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Commissioner, for that. I think you brought up some really important points, which I'm hoping the room is taking the time to digest and see how to benefit from them. Just, I think for me, what was very, very encouraging is you mentioned that there will be officials dedicated to working on AOE. Number two, if you have any issues that you might need NamRA support on, approach them and they'll be able to come to you. And I think that's what speaks to serving with passion, is always this assumption that you have to go jump through many hoops to get assistance from the officials that be. So thank you very, very much for highlighting that. And really just in closing, how working on this together as different agencies, as the private and public sector, really improves Namibia's competitiveness. So thank you very, very much for those remarks. I'll come back to you a little later on. Mr. Kasipe, who is the Executive Secretary for the Southern African Customs Union, maybe from a regional perspective, sir, what does the AEO Authorized Economic Operators, the AEO, gets a tongue twister, but really just from a regional perspective, what does this mean? In your speech, you spoke about how that is engineered, or rather put together, to be a catalyst for regional integration and really promoting the work or trade between in the region as SACU. Could you give us a few examples of where we see some of the benefits from a regional perspective?
Thank you, Stacey. Really, like I indicated, this program is meant to make our businesses in the region to be very competitive, which means really it's all about business. And the role that we as SACU have to play, therefore, is to make sure that it becomes as valuable as possible to them. We are here, obviously, inviting business to join this program, but we will know that in business, if you are offering value, you don't have to, in fact, even be persuading people to take on your product. They just buy it. So we therefore have to, yes, as the commissioner is saying, people need to be aware of what we are offering, which is what we are doing today. But the moment people are aware, immediately they start evaluating what it is that you are offering. And the presentation by Francina, I think, was very much to that effect, and I'm glad that you allowed us to do that before we could even talk, so that, yes, be aware there is an AEO program in the region. It accredits you and gives you a number of benefits, but what are those benefits? Let's unpack it, so that then you act not because you are compelled, you act because you see value. And that value has been articulated very well. I mean, the commissioner said it. Imagine getting expedited VAT refunds. Imagine what that does to your cash flow management, because immediately it gives you a leg up in terms of the competitors, even within the country itself, because you know that your cash flow cycle is reduced by merely joining this program. Imagine what that does in terms of waiting times at the border. Your logistics management, your operations management becomes enhanced. Hence why, as I said earlier, then your product in terms of now what ends up landing in front of the customer is of high quality. Why? Because you did not have to endure delays and maybe even compromise on the quality of your raw materials, them having to spend a lot of time at the border. And at the same time, also the price at which you will sell, it will actually be low. Why? Because you have efficiencies that you have realized from getting refunds early, saving on time, insurance costs being reduced, payment to your transporters and logistics being lower because you had to maybe lease a truck to move your goods, but it's now shorter because the truck moves in and out very quickly than before. Be that as it may, we then come in as SACU, which is now saying the regional solution now and the value that it brings in. This is further value over and above the fact that within the country itself there is value. But we add another layer of value, and this layer of value is now the mutual recognition agreements that are signed by the member states within SACU. I don't know how you're going to explain that to your son, Stacey.
I would try.
But maybe just to make it really, it's about the value of a network over an individual node in a network, like I said. A simple example I'll give is your cell phone is only as valuable as the rest of us having cell phones. Imagine if you're the only person who had a cell phone. Stacey said it. If we have a Namibia AEO program, well and good, but if it's not connected to South Africa, if it's not connected to the program in Botswana, to Eswatini and Lesotho, it's not as valuable. It's like you with your cell phone, you and you alone with your cell phone. Is it worth anything? But if I buy one, and Sam buys one, and Nico buys one, everybody buys one, immediately your phone becomes more valuable. Why? Because it's now connected to a network. In the same vein, by now building a regional network of these AEO programs, connecting Namibia with South Africa, connecting it with Lesotho, Botswana, and Eswatini, we are now making the Namibia program more valuable. Why? Because by being accredited here in Namibia, you are therefore automatically accredited in Lesotho. You see now how then we add value. Now, we add value to who? To you as a business. You are the one who is directly being given a leg up. We are being made to, in fact, be more competitive. And indeed, to even take it further, we will be exploring, as Francina's presentation also indicated, a SACU third-party mutual recognition agreement, where we now say the East African community, those countries in there, Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, Kenya, all of them, Tanzania, let's sit down and let's have a mutual recognition agreement. You know what that does? It increases the network. That phone in your pocket now is connected to, in fact, phones in other countries. And you can therefore now know that by being accredited in Namibia, I'm immediately able to now trade in Zambia and enjoy the same benefits I would enjoy trading within my country. So this is, I think, what this means, really. It means, at the end of the day, it's not done just for convenience of the revenue agency or the government. It is meant for business. It is meant to make sure that you win when we now say, let us go into the African continent and try and compete for the markets. Let's go to South America under a Mercosur agreement that's been signed with SACU and try and make sure that we compete there. Let us go to EFTA. Let's go to all over the world where we can compete. Our businesses have a leg up. They're competitive. So that's really, I think, the benefit of all, and the benefit of networking through the mutual recognition agreements that obviously SACU brings into the picture.
I know that the NamRA, which is the mutual recognition agreement, is agreed at the highest level of government, which means that Namibia and other countries in SACU have agreed to be to offer reciprocity to one another as it relates to businesses operating in their respective countries. And so I think from a Ministry of Trade perspective, we deal with a lot of businesses, local businesses who are doing well, have great products, but for some reason or another, there's sometimes hesitance around, am I really ready for export? Do I want to go that far? Maybe I'm comfortable in my own local market. And I think what you've done in your response is to really offer another layer of value to say that if there's a business in this room considering export, through the AEO program, you are guaranteed to have a somewhat seamless transition from only having your local market and potentially exporting to Botswana or Lesotho whatsoever. So thank you very much. I think you made my job with my son slightly easier. I'll come back to you a little later on, but I think that your answer nicely situates for us how this is a critical benefit for business in Namibia from a regional perspective. Cameron, I was not taking a dig at you by saying you have not shared the benefits of being an AEO, but I was really wanting to have a light moment. I think the reason you are here today is not only because of your expertise, but to show the example of what those benefits look like. I'm always a believer in storytelling, and storytelling is powerful because it tells real life examples of what something means. And I believe that is why you're here today, because Namib Mills, as we have learned today, is the only accredited AOE in Namibia. And so really wanting for you to share your experience in this regard. And if I may just prompt you, number one, talk us through the process that you underwent. And I think that's one of the things that NamRA keeps restating, is that they are supportive and want to partner to help you comply. So for anyone wondering what that process looks like, Cameron will give a bit of a quick how that process went, the kind of support they received. But I think the crux of the conversation is really, how have you seen this changing the business of Namib Mills?
Yeah, thanks. Is this on?
I hope it
I
is.
thought it was.
Oh, it is.
It's got a green light.
I can hear you because I'm close to you. I don't know if the guy at the back can hear you.
Okay. So
Is he audible? Avil, can you hear Cameron? No. Could we have tech fix
Maybe
this,
we give
please?
him the roving mic, maybe.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Serving with passion.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Stacey. So I think maybe the audience here is probably familiar with the big brands or the well-known brands, Top Score, Pasta Polana, and Buck Pro. I think, and why I want to start there is we obviously import a number of raw materials into Namibia, and we also, for those of you who don't know, we export a significant amount of pasta back into South Africa that's manufactured locally. And the benefit of joining this program is really to ensure that goods that come into Namibia gets cleared as quickly as possible, and also when it is exported back into the South African market and the rest of the SACU countries, is to facilitate the process of getting the goods exported. So the benefits that we have seen is there's direct engagement with Francina and her team. They visited us. They assessed the processes, the internal processes, accounting processes that we have to ensure that we comply with all the legislation. We've had our staff be assessed for their competency in understanding the legislation, and I can promise you it's not that difficult. So you don't have to worry that you're going to write a test on a closed book status. It's an open book test, so it's not too difficult to get through the assessment process. Then, you know, Francina and her team recently visited us. We got some valuable information. I can tell you that we make use of a number of entry points into Namibia, the coast where most of our sugar comes in, our rice, wheat comes mostly through the Ariamsvlei and the Trans-Kalahari border post, and some come through Noordoever, the maize and the wheat. And then, of course, because of our various different operations, we import a lot of spare parts and packing material, all come mostly through the eastern border posts. So they could share with us, for example, that we had about 4,600 times that we imported in a period of 8 months. We could see that of those imports, about 10,000 times we had criteria selections. And what I can say to you is only 0.1% of our entries were subject to searches when it crossed the border post. So that, I think, is one of the major benefits of being part of this program. Then there are some other classifications. Some of our documentation gets reviewed, desktop reviews. So again, because of the different types of goods that are imported, those goods would be classified as to when they are inspected or verified. So when I spoke to our distribution team, again, maybe a good statistic to share, the average time of our visits at the border posts have come down from 5 hours to 1 hour.
Wow.
See?
So that is all because of the status that Namib Mills has. I can also share with you that one of our sister companies who's not on the program, their imports obviously takes longer because they're not accredited. Although they're part of the Namib Mills group, they are not. They don't have the status. And I did commit to the commissioner that soon he will have at least 2, because we are making sure that they also get accredited. So that's feedback directly from our distribution team as to the average time it takes our
Reduced.
the reduced time in our imports.
Thank you, Cameron. 5 to 1 hour is remarkable. Thank you, and I'm sure someone in the room will ask a question maybe around some of the practicalities of what that process has been. But thank you very, very much. I think if it wasn't clear with your intervention, it's clear what some of the benefits are. Nico, maybe in closing for this panel, and then I'll open up to a couple of questions in the room and perhaps online. You were speaking to me, and it's weird because the question I'm about to pose to you is one we were speaking about earlier. You were talking about how the private sector has to be part of the solution, how the private sector has to form part of the views that influence policy and instruments such as these. Could you share with us your views on why you think that partnership is important, the partnership between private and public sector, and maybe in light of the AEO? What has your experience been, and most importantly, what can we do better?
Thank you very much. It's not. Is it on?
Yes.
Can you hear me at the back?
Yes, I think you're good.
Stacey, thank you very much. And having the privilege of being last, all your questions has been answered. So it makes my life a lot easier.
It does.
And sitting on the same panel as Commissioner and Thabo and Cameron, it's good to hear what the benefits is of the program. But let's get down to business. When we talk about the AEO program, there's roles and responsibilities of both parties. The public sector has a responsibility, and the private sector has got a responsibility. And the framework addresses it through the pillars of compliance and partnerships and all these things. And I think it's imperative that when we talk about the benefits, then we need to get down to ground level, where things happen on the ground. So from a private sector perspective, I would say to the industry, get yourself registered, get onto the program, and as Cameron has explained, it's a simple procedure, but you need to be compliant in all aspects. And from a private sector perspective, to make your life easier, I would recommend that you at least have an ISO qualification or accreditation. That will definitely help you. Because once you have done that, it will put you in a position to be easier compliant with the requirements of NamRA. From a public sector perspective, to me, and I'm probably the practical one to go down to ground level, because I'm involved in one of my capacities in a clearing agency. Where we actually do the customs documentation and present that to NamRA officials, to the officers, and I think everybody, and that's I think the responsibility to get a mutual beneficial relationship, is for NamRA on the ground to have everybody at the same level and as passionate as the Commission. I think that to me is crucial. If we do not do that, we will not get the benefit that we talk about. We will not get the expedience or expedite entries through the border post, get releases, and get the trucks on the road as soon as possible. I think that is imperative from a public sector perspective. So if we talk about mutual beneficial relationship, we look at roles and responsibilities, and once we've resolved that, I think it's easy, the program will flow and everybody will have the benefit. And I think there's not one private company sitting in this audience that do not want the benefit that was mentioned by Francina as part of being an accredited body.